Structuralism takes the human out of the center of the analysis. Yes? Anyone wants to say anything? Okay. And replace it with the structure of language, which is the most important because it explains how its units, the units within it, operates. Now, structuralism in humanism, the center of knowledge, the most important part of knowledge and how we understand things is through our human mind. Okay, our human mind teaches us how to understand the world around us. Now that is why the theory is called humanism. In structuralism, um, structuralists take out the human part of the center and then replace it with language, the structure of language. Now, language and the structure is very important to structuralists because they say that language teaches you about the world, about what is considered important, yeah, about the world. And I've used the example of rice in our last lesson, where rice is very important to the Malay people because it has many names. You know that we eat rice every day, so this is rice is very important. Hence, it has many signifiers and many signifieds in our culture. Now, Derrida takes this idea and applies it to Western philosophy or metaphysics, the idea about center and how the units within the center operates. Yeah. So he takes this to apply it to Western philosophy. Now he says that in Western philosophies, um, every attempt to explain the relations between the mind and the self and the world posited some sort of center, a point from which everything comes and to which everything refers to. Okay. So there is a center in every philosophical system, especially those that are coming from the West. In some philosophical systems, this center is the concept of God. Okay. Westerners also believe in God, at least some of them. They believe in Christianity, and at the center of this idea, this Christian idea, is God. Yeah? In others, the human mind. So, for those who believe in humanism, they will say it's the human mind that is at the center of the structure. And to others, it could be the unconscious, especially if you are a believer of psychoanalysis founded by Sigmund Freud. From the unconscious, we have subconscious. And then finally, other, other levels such as ego, super ego, and so on. So within the same structure, which has a center, the center is itself surrounded by binary oppositions or pairs, consisting of two items placed in relation to each other. One part of the pair is always given a cultural value higher than the other. One term is marked positive and the other negative. So there are binary oppositions within the center. Yeah? And in this binary opposition, for example, this is the structure of language. Okay, so the center is patriarchal society because it created that language, and then there is a binary opposition which is male versus female. Okay? Now, this binary opposition is very important because it teaches us how we think about this world, how we understand ourselves, according to the structuralists and also post-structuralists. So, for males, for boys, for example, how does a boy know about his identity? Because he knows he is not a girl. So boys and girls are binary opposites. So how does a female know about the fact that she is a female? Because she is not a male. Okay, so this is how young children, for example, learn about their self-identity by looking at the other sex and asking themselves whether they are similar or different. Now, within the same structures could be other binary opposites, such as day, night, old, young, old, tall, short. Okay, so you have many other binary oppositions, and the term that is nearer to the center, such as male or rich or tall or day or good, all of these are privileged over the term that is further away from the center, such as female, weak, um, as opposed to strong, um, short, and so on. Yeah? So male is better because it's nearer to the center. In Western philosophy, the first term in a binary opposition is given more value than the second term. However, while it's true that good is better than evil, right? Good is always better than evil. Why should men be better than women? Or why should white be better than colored, for example? This is exactly what post-structuralists are asking. In Of Grammatology, Derrida looks specifically at the binary opposition of speech writing. He says that in Western tradition, speech has always been thought of as a primary or original, and writing is just a transcription of speech or a copy of it. Speech is privileged over writing because speech is associated with presence. For there to be a spoken language, somebody has to be present and speaking. This hence points to the person doing it. Writing does not necessarily point to the person who wrote it. Hence, speech slash writing could be um, could be seen as presence slash absence. It corresponds to presence slash absence because you need to be present to give a speech, but you don't need to be present when writing. Hence, it is characterized by absence. Oh, sorry about this. Okay. The binary opposition posits that there is a center, a place from which the whole system comes and which regulates it. The center holds the whole structure in place, keeping each of the binary oppositions on its proper side of the slash. So Western tradition has a collection of terms that serve as centers to various philosophical systems, being truth, consciousness, God and unconsciousness. So Derrida says that each term serves two purposes. Is the thing given credit for the whole system, is something beyond the system, also not governed by the rules of the system. The center keeps the structure from moving very much. Derrida calls this kind of move or motion as play. Okay. In a classroom, the teacher is the center. She or he keeps the class in order and regulates everything in the class, such as the students' behavior. Students who are close to the center are better behaved because of the teacher. Students who are further away from the teacher are not so better behaved because they move or play in Derrida's term. You can see another figure of a structure. This is in signifying structure. The first thing that you see is the center. The center does not move a lot. And in certain cases, it doesn't move at all. But you have at the outskirt of the structure two poles, and these two poles move. Okay, they experience play. Okay, now Derrida says that whatever terms in the binary opposition that is surrounding the center, you have a term that is more privileged than the other one. Okay, so the term that is more privileged is near the center. For example, like what we have seen just now, the example of male versus female. So male is near to the center and he doesn't move a lot. The female, on the other hand, moves a lot. So this is a move. So according to Derrida, all structures and systems like the seesaw, classroom, and language operate between two poles: absolute fixity, rigidity, and no motion, and its opposite, complete movement, constant shifting, continual play. Western philosophy favors one pole that is rigid system over the other pole that is shifting system, as it favors order over chaos. So we learned that um, this term, which is nearer to the center, does not move a lot. Huh? Meaning, what does that move mean? Move means not having a lot of signifiers. Now, it's a term that is that does not have a lot of signifiers. For example, male, for example, or masculinity. Huh? Male is masculine. Okay, what does masculine mean? Masculine means strong. Masculine means having short hair. Masculine means wearing pants only, not skirts. Okay, so you have all this masculine definition and signifies. Okay, now what about ladies or women? Females. Uh, can females have short hair and long hair? Yeah, they can have that both. Can they be um, strong and weak? Yes, they can be both strong and weak. So society allows women to experience play over the rigidity of the first phrase. So this feminine, for example, actually have more signifiers than the masculine word, than the masculine the word, where it normally has only one signifier or a few signifiers, and women have many signifiers. However, derivative play is precisely what makes poetic language possible, since a single word can have more than one meaning. Okay, like in this poem here, "O rose thou art sick, the invisible worm that flies in the night in the howling storm, has found out thy bed of crimson joy, and his dark skin love does thy light destroy." So a rose here can be a rose. It can also be a lady, a young lady, and her she is destroyed by the invisible worm. Yeah? It can also mean England, because England, when William Blake was writing this poem, actually had problems with the French Revolution. Yeah? That ideas from the French Revolution about humanity, about equality, brotherhood, and so on, had invaded Britain, and the government was very fearful of this invasion of ideas. So this could be why the invisible worm has made the rose sick, because it is asking the English to revolt. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why. So what we call literary texts are texts within which language operates loosely with lots of play. Non-literary texts, by contrast, use language as if meaning were stable and fixed. Okay. Okay, does anyone here have any question so far? Do you understand? When we look at the original structure in the slide, okay, the center is the patriarchal society. But then you have the binary opposition, right? Which is male slash female. So males are closer to the center, hence they do not move a lot. They are rigid. But females move a lot, they experience play. When they experience play, what that means for post-structuralism is that they have many signifiers. For the males, they have less signifiers. Okay. For example, they can only wear pants. They cannot wear skirts. For females, they can wear pants and skirts. For males, for example, they have to be strong. They cannot be weak. But for females, they can be weak and strong. Do you understand so far what we are learning? Okay, do you understand? Okay. So I take it that you understand what we have learned. That a word, for example, that has many signifiers is actually experiencing play. And to Derrida, only the words that are further away from the center is experiencing play. Yeah? The words that are nearer are not doing that because we the center dictates the movement of the phrase. Yeah? It says that the phrase has very few signifiers, and that cannot change over time, even though it's very positive. Now, to Derrida, who created the structure? To Derrida, society created the structure because society created language. Hence, everything in the structure is socially constructed. When everything is socially constructed, it can be deconstructed. Okay, it can be destroyed. Society can destroy the structure. And how does society destroy the structure? By saying that the phrase that are near to the center or the words that are near to the center can have multiple signifiers as well. Okay, for example, males. In the West right now, males are wearing skirts. They're wearing skirts. One of the, if you find on the internet, you can see males wearing skirts. They are in vogue, in fashion. Not so long ago, there have been a couple of school kids who went to school but uh, by wearing skirts. They wore skirts to school, even though they are boys, because it was summer and they felt that they get more air circulating in that under their abdomen if they had what do you call that? If they wear skirts. Okay, but the society still protested because boys wearing skirt is not a norm. So it is what these boys are doing is a post-structuralist act because they want to destroy the structure that says boys can only wear pants. Okay, do you understand? Okay, now we move on to this part here. Okay, now okay, so if post-structuralism is connected to writing text, deconstruction is post-structuralist strategy for reading literature. So post-structuralism is a theory, as I've said before, but deconstruction is like an act, a strategy of reading literature. So what exactly is deconstruction if Derrida says it's a strategy for reading? What does all of this about philosophical system and centers have to do with the act of reading? Now, in reading, a deconstructionist reads a text to see where it posits its own center, how it constructs a system of truth and meaning, and then look to see where it contradicts itself. Okay. Now, to Derrida, who is a deconstructionist, he tries to find the center of a text, a literary text. For example, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Now, the center would be the theme of Pride and Prejudice. And what is the theme of Pride and Prejudice? It is to marry based on love, not wealth. So, how the deconstructionists will also look at how the whole novel support this idea, and then see whether anything that the characters do contradict this idea. Okay. And the basic idea of deconstruction is to find the center and see what happens to the structure if we take it away. So this is just to deconstructing a literary work means to see whether the structure is strong enough if you decide to point out the fractures or the shortcomings of the structure. The function of a center is to limit play to hold concepts such as good and evil in firm relation to each other so that we know what each is and what side of the slice it should be on. Deconstruction is a way of reading that looks for places where the structures get shaken up, where more play, more ambiguity of meaning occurs, where the binary opposites don't stay neatly on the proper side of the slash. Okay, so when you can deconstruct, you want to say that the marriage for love theme in Pride and Prejudice is not true because while Mr. Darcy marries Elizabeth because of love, and so did Elizabeth marry Mr. Darcy because of love, Charlotte Lucas, Elizabeth's cousin, did not marry her husband, Mr. Bennet, out of love. She married him because she wanted to secure a future for herself. Okay. So you see that some elements in the story do not support the theme. Now, you cannot use binary oppositions when you study a novel because there are too many words for you to figure out what the binary oppositions are. So you analyze the storyline, okay, of the novel to know how you can deconstruct a novel. So deconstruction argues that all systems, all texts have this moment of places where their structures get shaken and where their formerly solid elements get put into play. Those are the places where a text's definitive meanings breaks down, where multiplicity or ambiguity rather than clarity and logic take over. Okay? So when you say that Charlotte Lucas and Mr. Bennet did not marry for love, they married because they wanted to have some financial security, you are destroying the structure of Pride and Prejudice. Yeah? You're saying that it can have many meanings. You can also point out that Elizabeth marries Mr. Darcy because she first saw Mr. Darcy had a very huge home at Pemberley. That is why she became interested in him. Okay, so you can argue that. So a deconstructive reading thus reads a text against itself, looking for the holes or shaky parts of the system of stable meanings that the text tries to set up. So it looks, when you deconstruct a reading, it looks for shortcomings of the work. Yeah? For example, the storyline. Yeah? There's something wrong with the characters, for example. So once you deconstruct a system by pointing out its inconsistencies, by showing what happens when the center fails to hold all the elements in fixed position, or where the slash dissolved binary set to collapse into each other, then that's it. You have two choices. Okay, when you say that the center of Pride and Prejudice can be destroyed because there are storylines in the story that does not support the center, you have two choices. You can throw out the whole structure and try to rebuild another one with no inconsistencies or no play. But of course, according to Derrida, that's impossible. That's just trying to substitute one center for another and not seeing that the center is just a concept which has play just like any other and not a fixed eternal truth. So you can, when you say that the marriage between Charlotte Lucas and Mr. Bennet is not based on love, but based on money and position. However, both are happy with each other. You are destroying the structure, the original structure of Pride and Prejudice. So you can have another structure where in the center says a couple ought to marry each other because of economic necessities. So this can be the same structure. However, you can challenge this structure by saying that there are couples who marry each other to secure financial stability, but they end up being very unhappy with each other, such as Mrs. Bennet and Mr. Bennet. So this is the problem with deconstruction is because at the end of the day, there is no such thing as a structure if everything can be deconstructed. Okay. Do you have any question you want to ask? Do you want to have any question that you want to ask? Do you understand what went on just now? It's basically saying that um, by large, there is no structure in this world. Okay, a man, for example, can be a woman. A woman can be a man. Okay. Now, previously, we in Malaysia maybe we don't feel that much because we have structures, we have beliefs, and so on that support the structure. In Islam, we cannot appropriate another person's gender, right? We must be behaving in the gender in which we are born to. But in the West, it can be a man can be a woman can be a man. Okay, so this is a post-structuralist way of thinking that there are no structures. Have you heard of marriages wherein a man can become the wife and the husband can be a woman? Okay, these are same-sex marriages where a wife and a husband no longer mean women and men, but can mean just partners. You know? So at the end of the day, some people in the West also do not like the idea of post-structuralism because when you have a husband who can be a woman or a man, what is the meaning of a husband, right? Or a wife who can be a man or a woman, what is the meaning of a wife? Okay, so at the end of the day, this is the problem of post-structuralism. Anyone wants to ask me anything? Have you understood the lesson? Anything that I need to explain to you?
Doctor,
Yes.
is feminism considered as post-structuralism? Sorry.
Feminism is divided into two. For some feminists believe that they are women and they are men. Okay, so there are two sexes in this world. Women are women, men are men. But some feminists, such as the post-structuralist French feminism, they say that a woman can be like a man can be like a woman, because they are looking not at the biological um, difference between men and women. They are looking at the gender. Gender is masculinity and femininity. So a man, for example, can be feminine according to the post-structuralist. A woman can be masculine. Okay, so that's the thing. However, nowadays we have even people who are transgenders. They are challenging the idea of sex. A man can become like a woman, literally. A woman literally can become like a man. So that's another idea in post-structuralism. Huh? Okay, so we're going to learn more about feminism later. Do you have anyone, or maybe no Alia, do you have any more questions you want to ask?
That's all. That's all.
Okay, so
Thank
this
you.
uh, all the theories that we are going to learn actually, like post-colonialism, um, eco-criticism, um, disability study, all of them have binary oppositions. For example, in feminism, men versus women, right? Okay. In post-colonialism, white versus uh, colored people. Okay. So they post-colonialism try to challenge this idea that whites are better than colored people. White are better than colored people. Feminists challenge the idea that men are better than women. Okay. Um, Modernists, maybe not modernists, but other theories like the ones that have post in them, the word post, um, or sometimes they don't have word post, but they challenge the binary oppositions. If you have heard of Marxism challenged the idea that rich is better than poor. Um, Psychoanalysis does not challenge it. Some of the theories do not challenge. They are structuralist theories, but others are post-structuralist theories, such as feminism. Can be post-structuralist, but psychoanalysis is structuralist. It has a structure. Okay. Anyone wants to ask me anything? No? Anyone else? Okay, so if you don't want to ask me anything, that's basically it. Yeah. When we look at the literature work also, when we argue that they can also be deconstructed, when we take out the theme of the work and we say that whatever happens in the novel or in the short story or in the poem do not support the main theme of the work, which is the center. So we can say that we are deconstructing the literary work. Okay? Um, Anything that you want to ask me? No? Okay, so there will be a quiz on our next meeting, and actually it's not on our next meeting, it's on the day that we are supposed to have the online or a synchronized lesson, which is on Tuesday. I will give this quiz via Itaklim, and then you have to answer the quiz, and then we discuss about your answers in the next class when we meet. Okay. Now the quiz will cover humanism, structuralism, and post-structuralism. Okay.
Doctor, what time is the quiz?
What time? It can be the whole day. Can sit for the whole day. I think I will open it up until we're going to have the quiz on Tuesday. So you can sit for the quiz for the whole day. The whole day. I mean, on Wednesday, I will look at the quiz to see your answers. And on Thursday, we'll discuss the answer. Okay? It's only 5 marks and maybe perhaps 10 questions. Okay. And you have the notes with you. You can read up the notes. There will be one more note that I am going to give you, but you can just read through the notes. Okay? And the questions, I think you can answer them if you have read through the notes and understood everything. Okay. It won't. This other thing that I want you to look at won't be included in the quiz. It'll be something that we'll be presenting on our class day. Okay. Okay. So if there is no more question, then I have to. I will say goodbye. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.